Welcome to ISRA League's Grand Touring Championship, brought to you by the Z1 SimWheel LCD display and the Z1 SimWheel LCD display software. You can buy it now separately for your computer without the LCD hardware and run it on your rig. It's an easy, cheaper way to get the dashboards onto your rig, and you can find out more about it at z1simwheel.com. Well, welcome. This is the Florida Keys 70 at Sebring. I'm Daniel Quaroni, and joining me here for this Race 5 broadcast is Anthony Muniz.
Hey, great to be back with you for another race.
And Brian Carey.
Looking forward to Sebring.
Well, we exit Most Sports race here with Russell Cow in the lead with 75 points in Daytona Prototypes, and Mike Kelly and Timothy Stahl both pretty close behind, so the top three, very exciting. And actually mid-pack, there's a pretty good battle there for, I would say, fourth. I think that Mike has a chance at it. Now looking at Cadillacs, Mark Payne is currently still leading with 67 points, but James Cullen and Colin McLean are just a hair's breadth away, so I expect we will see some challenge for that spot in this race here. And Todd Carver is dropping back a bit, but then again, second half of the pack looks like there's some pretty good competition in it. And just a moment, we'll see the track map here, and Brian Carey will take us around a lap at Sebring.
Alright, well, we're looking at here, you can see up in the pit board. Oh, there's the map. We'll start with that right there. Okay, so we've got a 17-turn track. Turn 17 Sunset Bend is one of the iconic corners of this track here. Very, very fast, very, very bumpy, and very difficult. In fact, the entire track is very difficult too. So you can see here, you can kind of picture out where the passing areas are. We just came from Most Sport where passing was more difficult. Here, there's more than a few places to get by the slower cars or cars of your own class, so it's not as difficult. And it's really Sebring 12 Hours is run here, so it is kind of not designed, because it wasn't designed for it at all. It was just designed as a racing track, but it is really kind of suited to the multi-class endurance racing, as we're running here for 70 minutes, I guess, but really looking forward to the run here.
Russell Cow taking the pole with a pretty commanding 1 minute 52 point, basically 2 there. In second spot with a 153 flat. Then Timothy Stahl right behind him, and Brian Carey joining him on the second row. Brent Briles and John Middleton on the third row. Carlos Passos and Daniel Quaroni on the fourth, and I missed the fifth.
And then James Cullen and Todd Carver will be the first row with a fairly close time there. Eduardo Prado and Ricardo Machuca on the second. Colin McLean, Kevin Savoy on the third. Daniel Vernez, John Kuslin on the fourth. And Joe Jr. and James Mines will be the fifth row for the Cadillacs.
Yeah, just looking at the time of Russell Cow there, that is absolutely ridiculous, the amount of time he's able to put on this field. I mean, we've both classes have been actually very highly competitive in terms of times. I know Russell has been up at pole for possibly even all the events here, but at least most of them. But that is a ridiculous gap there, and we'll see how that plays out over this race. As we're coming around the back section of the track here, it was an old airfield, Sebring, back in the kind of World War II days, and converted into a racetrack, much like the Silverstone circuit out in England. Unfortunately, it hasn't had the TLC over the years as Silverstone has, but it's still a very, very good track. Very unique in the fact that it is very flat, but because of the bumpiness of the track, it gives it that kind of other element. Sometimes you have a flat track that's just all about the turns, getting in and out of the corners. Sometimes you have an elevation track, like say like VIR or Spa, but this one is because of the bumps, it gives it that bit of character that you don't see at a lot of tracks outside of street tracks, which we don't really run on in iRacing.
Yeah, this is actually one of my personal favorite tracks that iRacing offers. I have a few others that I really like running, like for instance Spa, but this is definitely one of my favorites. I really enjoy the 12 hours of Sebring that they run here for the past, 60 some years now, and yeah, this is always a fun place for me to run. would have preferred it to be an endurance race, but unfortunately we've already we have endurance races scheduled for different circuits this season, and the Cadillacs are getting on the back stretch just now, and I'm assuming the Daytona prototypes are getting fairly close to the line, so we can go racing.
Yeah, that's one thing that Anthony, being the younger sort, is more a proponent of the endurance races here. We do run these races Monday night at about 10 o'clock, so as you get on in here, sleep becomes harder to come by, and you get pretty riled up running these races, I'll tell you right now. So you're sitting in my basement in my chair, but it's still pretty hard as we're going to be coming around sunset here. The pace car should be coming in, and just give it a second here to see if takeoff. Russell Cow controlling the pace, and there we go, we're green.
Looks like Colroni gets a great start, going to go on the outside of John Middleton. They go 3 wide, although he gets pushed into the barriers, and he goes sideways onto the pit exit, and that's an early exit for Daniel Colroni, unfortunately, and there's just 3 wide, not quite enough room, and gets pinched into the barrier as Russell Kyle gets a clean start into turns 3 and 4. He'll take the lead over Jeremy Burris, or Mike Kelly, rather.
Yeah, that was a pretty intense start there. Looks like he got Daniel Colroni on the outside of possibly 3 wide there. Got pinched a little bit and was pushed hard into the wall, as Ricardo Machuca also looks like he has damage. He may be retiring. That is pretty slow as he's letting the entire field go by. So a lot of drama here in the first lap. Whoa, and that's is that James Cullen there in the... and he's coming from pretty far back trying to gain up some ground. I'm not sure what happened to him either, but... there's a lot of oh, and there's some more offs right there. I don't see who just went off. That's looks like that was who was that, guys?
Was a Turn 1 Heroes guy, and I cannot tell who that was.
Was Wyatt? I don't think Wyatt Foster was in this race. I don't. Oh, Daniel Verness. That's
yes, that's who it was. Yep.
Daniel Verness, another Turn 1 Heroes member. He wasn't there last race, so.
So I believe there was there's some sort of drama between James Cullen and Ricardo Machuca in going into turn 3. I think somebody locked brakes or something, and they went straight in off instead of making the turn. And I think that might have just been some gentleman driving there by Ricardo Machuca, letting everyone going past and going back behind James Cullen because he caused some incidents. And so now both of those quick drivers are going to have to try and fight their way back through the field.
And there's John Middleton there coming up through sunset. Yeah, a lot of craziness happening right now. I mean, a lot of guys getting spun out. Really wish we had available instant replay here to see some of that action, but we're just going to have to do our best with the live pictures as we see them right now. And there's Clark Reed, I believe, in the number 34, that purple and pink colored car there. We don't get to see Clark on the camera all that much, unfortunately, but there he is, battling with James Cullen and Ricardo Machuca, and it looks like Ricardo and James will be by him no problem before turn 1. But good to see Clark up there battling with these guys. There's Jeremy Burris coming up behind John Middleton. Jeremy Burris down 8th place. And that's Brent Bryles going slowly. I wonder what happened to Brent there.
I'm guessing, because he looked like he got through the turn okay, I'm guessing he just got wide on the exit, couldn't get the power down, and lost quite a bit of time, lost 2 positions in the process. And he'll have to fight his way back as we take a look at Daniel Verness, who is quite a bit down the field. We saw him spin off, and he's going to have to be fighting his way back up. Right now he's just behind Lance Snyder in his Iron Maiden Cadillac as they head down into the hairpin.
There's a fantastic car. A lot going on in that car, but that is exactly encapsulating heavy metal from the 80s right there, that car. So it's good to see out in the track. But one thing I just noticed too is, Stephen Clark and Ricardo Machuca are going door to door right here. Is this track is so different. I mentioned the bumpiness, but the setup you need for this track is very different from what you're used to at a lot of tracks, and maybe that explains the gap for pole position for Russell. Is it's really hard to get that properly.
See, Timothy Stoll having some problems with oversteer. And speaking of oversteer, John Middleton loses it in sunset, almost spins back into the line of traffic, luckily able to stop the car, but he's going to lose so many positions there. also, it looked like Brian Carey was able to catch right back up to the rear wing of Timothy Stoll for third place, as he got a little bit too much understeer going through Sunset as well. That is a definitely one of probably the most difficult corner here on the circuit. It's so bumpy, and you're fighting for grip the entire way around, and that's definitely going to catch a few people out. A few more people out, I would expect, throughout the rest of this race.
Yeah, as we're on board, right about here is where you get a huge bump going through. And normally you try to kind of even steering through the corner, hit your apex, but you have to kind of change your line that would be opposite of ideal, well not opposite of ideal, but different than the ideal line because of that bump. So you have to make sure you come across that as straight as possible to reduce the effects on the car as you go over top of it. It's actually interesting, not so much in the Daytona prototype because of the suspension, you're able to come a little bit closer to the inside, but in some of the other cars like the Le Mans prototype and even the Formula 1 car, going through that corner, there's a spot right in about the middle of the corner, and you really have to spot it as you go through, as there's a car off the side of the track there. But you really have to spot it as you go through because it's not on the inside, it's not on the outside. You hit it just perfectly there. The bump is less severe and you're able to carry a lot more speed through there. So not as big an issue in these two classes of cars because you're able to take a little bit more variety of lines, but it is still an advantage if you hit the line just right. Oh, look at that. Someone's lost their braking. Oh,
and in...
That was the 33
cars there. Furness, again, having troubles at the hairpin. Like that time, he collected another Cadillac with him as well. I believe that was, who was that? Gregory Johnston, I believe.
Yeah, that looked mechanical. That did not look like a drive error. It looked like he knew pretty early on that he wasn't able to get that car slowed down. Tried his best to get to the inside to avoid everyone, but unfortunately the cars are packed up pretty tight and he wasn't able to do that.
We've got a tight battle here for second, third, and fourth place. Currently, that pack currently being led by Mike Kelly in the Turn 1 Heroes number 2 car. The number 77 of Timothy Stoll in third place, and just behind the number 79 of Brian Carey. These guys all looking very fast, and just not too far behind, about by half a second or so, is Carlos Passos, also looking to see if he can join that battle. A little bit farther back, we have battles for 9th, 10th, and 11th. Marty Jeffries looks like he's got a good run coming up towards the hairpin. He's going to go on the inside. Probably will have that pass made for a 10th spot. He's ahead, and he should have it going into the hairpin. No problem. Yep, and he takes a position from Jerry Mooresdorf.
I'm not sure if Lauren Bateman's got the speed to get along the inside of Lance Snyder there, but oh, he does. Lance is giving him the corner there. Early in the race, not going to fight it. Long way to go, and Lauren Bateman has a position there.
And this is quickly becoming a four-way battle. Looks like Carlos Paso is going to be latching on to the tail of Brian Carey here within a couple laps or so. These guys all seem to be fairly close and competitive in pace. It looks like might have a bit of pace over Mike Kelly. Kelly seems to be just able to drive the car well and make sure that he's able to defend going into the corners. But judging by visually, looks like Timothy Stoll might have a little bit of pace. But as I say that, again, he gets oversteer coming out of Sunset, and that's going to cost him quite a bit of time. Brian Carey able to sneak by because of that loss of speed, and that moves Brian Carey up into a podium third spot.
Oh, there's a very, very wide there for, looks like Marty Jeffries. And this is a pretty, lot of Daytona prototypes in a very small piece of track, so let's see how they get through turn one. Big bump right there too, so you got to be careful, especially if you're side by side with someone coming off line. If you back off in the corner, you get a lot of trailing throttle oversteer, and if you hit the bump when you do that, it could send you around with someone on your outside. That's going to be difficult, and Matthew Voigt's got someone on his outside. He's holding the inside. I'm not sure who that is right there, but look, you can see it looks like not sure. Now we have Ryan Huff on the outside of Anthony Muniz here, going through Sunset. Muniz on the inside, Huff on the outside. Huff on a slightly faster line, but it looks like Muniz is able to hold on, get the power down first, and hold on to that position. That's for 10th place right now. So Ryan coming up behind Anthony right now. There's another battle here. It looks like that's James Cullen coming around the outside of Ryan Huff. I don't know if he's going to be able to make it stick, but well, he's holding on. A lot of speed on the outside there, and I think he's going to have it. Oh, but Ryan Huff braking hard on the inside, holding the inside line now. very good for Ryan Huff there to be able to outbreak James Cullen, because I know from experience following James around, and all the other Cadillacs around, James goes into the corners very, very deep and very, like probably a lot later than most people typically. So good on Ryan Huff to outbreak him there, but I think this is an inevitable one that James Cullen will get by at some point in the near future. It's allowing Muniz to get up ahead, and there it is right there. There's the pass made.
We'll jump back up to the Daytona prototypes now, and we see John Middleton right behind Marty Jeffries, and not too far behind we have Matthew Voigt, and I believe that is Jerry Morse. So there's a huge pack of Daytona prototypes right now as they head down towards Sunset. John Middleton looking to challenge on the inside, going to 17. He'll have the pass over Marty Jeffries, and let's see, it looks like Jeffries might have been able to fight back. He might have had a little bit more cornering speed, but now not able to do it.
He got a little bit of a twitch there.
Yeah, I did. I think he lost the extra speed momentum that he might have had. And a lot of these guys drafting off each other. Looks like John Middleton able to put a bit of a gap because of that wobble that Marty Jeffries had. And Jeffries might now come under pressure from Matthew Voigt, who is just behind him, and also Jerry Morsdorf as well.
There's Kevin Savoy right now behind Colin McLean as the battle for third place. Kevin able to go to the outside line. Colin coming down pretty deep. I think actually Kevin had the ideal line going through the corner there. But that being said, two different lines going through Sunset, and they're both accelerating at about the same time. So Cadillacs here, at least anyways, can take multiple lines to that corners, which is good for racing because it allows for you don't have to follow a leader and get stuck behind someone. You can take a different line and maybe take advantage of that. We're back with James Mines right now. This is a 7th place, right behind John Kuzlin, so battle for 6th. And I think that might be Joe Jr. up just ahead of them, so battle for 5th, I guess, or 4th, as someone just crashed. Who was that? That was the 99. That was Kevin Savoy off the track there. I could hear the bang on my headphones there, and it looks like he is damaged. He was crabbing a little bit down the straightaway.
Yeah, and he has to overshoot the hairpin there, not going to be able to get the car stopped. So I'm assuming that could mean he's probably just going to pull the car off and have to retire. It looks like he did have a fairly severe suspension problem. So we go now to John Middleton. He's looking to challenge with Jules Moret heading into Sunset, and didn't quite have the speed to go around, but he's gaming that him through the middle of the corner. Looks to have a pretty good exit. Let's see what he can do as they head down towards turn 1.
Yeah, we're getting a little bit of a zoom on the onboards there for the Daytona prototypes here, missing a lot of the corners they're going through. But now we're back with James Cullen, who's running down Anthony Muniz. James Cullen working his way back through the field. I don't think James will have the speed to get by him, but let's see if he's able to do it before they get into the back straightaway. But I think coming through... actually, what is the name of the last corner there before the straightaway?
I believe it's Le Mans.
Yes. Okay, so yeah, through Le Mans into the back straight there. But now we got John Middleton going around the outside of... Joe Moret. This is going into the hairpin at the back of the straight, and John going on the outside and able to hold it. I believe so. James Cullen getting just a little bit on the inside of Muniz going through the corner there. Not quite able to get right alongside, but it looks like he'll have him under acceleration coming off the corner with Ricardo Machuca right behind him. Whoa! A little bit of contact there between the two of them, but it looks like they got away with it all right. And now we have Colin McLean off the track, and he's lost a few positions, so he's down to 6th place. He's lost to Kuzlin and James Mines. So Joe Jr. in that battle for, I believe just a couple laps ago, was a battle for 6th. Now it's a battle for 3rd, with Joe Jr. up to 3rd place. Todd Carver in the lead with Eduardo Prado half a second behind him, but we don't get to see that right now.
On board now with Colin McLean as he tries to make up some time, and I will jump on board now with Ricardo Machuca, who's trying to work his way back up through the field.
Outbreaking there. Looks like he's got to the inside of Muniz. Muniz kind of giving up that spot just a little bit there, knowing he's got to fight for his own position there, so he's going to see him in the mirror on the outside, try to tuck in behind him and battle that way. Or is he going to... Nope, he's going for it right now. Might as well battle all the way. Okay, no, he's going to... Machuca's got the line there, so...
Yeah, just from the in-car experience, he was quite slow coming off that hairpin, and I didn't want to give up any of the speed that I had got off, so I just decided to go where there was room, and I'd let him have the next corner. I just didn't want to lose touch with some of the guys that I'm actually racing with that were ahead of me.
Aboard Gerald Livingston as some of the Daytona prototypes come flying past. And Jerry Knitter, the number 7 there, so...
Yeah, unfortunately, I think he gave up a little bit too much time there, and I know he was trying to be courteous to the Daytona prototypes, but sometimes you do have to just take your normal line so you don't lose positions in that way. But hopefully he will be able to battle his way back up and make that time up that he lost.
Yeah, sometimes the easiest thing to do, especially in a slower car, is to kind of hold your line, but when you're going through the corners, don't turn right into the apex. Ideally, if you can do it, try to turn like, you know, maybe a car and a half width on the outside of the apex. That way you're able to maintain some speed, and the faster cars are able to get by on the inside. They'll lose a little bit of time, but at least they have the room there. They'll accelerate out and give a chance to make the pass maybe coming out of the corner, and no problems going into the next one. Up and the train of James Cullen and Ricardo Muka is flying through, going past Kenny Coughlin there.
We've got another good train of Daytona prototypes here, and this is the battle for where is the top car? We've got Marty Jeffries, Matthew Voigt, Jerry Morsdorf, I believe John Rasuto's there. So these guys are battling for, well, I guess a top 10 spot. Marty Jeffries is currently running in 10th, and so all those guys are trying to work his way past as John Kelly gives up his spot to James Cullen through the hairpin. You can see Ricardo Machuca just behind him on the onboard camera. As we go back to the other large Daytona prototype train, I guess this would be a battle for 9th because Jules Moret is at the front of this pack, and he's currently in 9th place. So this is a good sized train here.
Yeah, this track is a lot more conducive to close racing than our last race last week at Mosport. So a little bit more room for runoff, a little bit wider track, and just kind of the nature of the corners too. The thing with Mosport is you have a lot of long corners, and with those long corners, sometimes what it does is it generates, I mean, you get stuck behind someone and you really can't do a lot to get by. Where here, there's a lot more quicker corners. You're not in the corner quite as long, Sunset being the exception to that, but a lot of left, right, left, a lot of quick corners here, and the transitions between the two of them also multitude of lines. So Mosport was pretty much a one-line track. This has a multitude of lines, and you're able to take advantage of that. You get close racing because you don't have to follow someone directly through a corner. You can take your own line and go through there pretty much just as quick.
And we take a look at Mike Kelly now. He's currently in 2nd place. He's been able to detach himself just a little bit from Brian Carey. You can see in the background the number 79 Libro car. Just behind is Timothy Stoll, who Brian Carey was able to get by in this very corner when Stoll had suffered from a bit of understeer. Go on board now with Timothy Stoll as he tries to chase him down and pass Brian Carey. There's a bit of traffic here. I believe that probably helped the 6 seconds that Carey has to Brian Carey, and Timothy Stoll gets by in turn 1, and that was fairly uncontested there from Brian Carey. Brian Carey looked like he might try and fight back as they head into the next turn 2 there, or turn 3 rather, but Stoll was there to block and able to maintain 3rd place, so he is able to retake 3rd.
Yeah, I just know that, I mean, because I was part of that, one of the things I can say is, typically, a lot of times, well, at least my thing anyways, Muniz is going on the inside of John Kelly. That's for 10th position right there, but we're on board with me right now. But what I was trying to say is, when you're fighting with someone like that, depending on who you're fighting with, sometimes you get caught in traffic and you get someone by, as I might just give error to my own words here, but holy jeez, I remember that. But yeah, what I'm trying to say is that sometimes letting someone through, if they get a little bit of a run on you, you know if you're going to fall through, or they're not going to hold you up very much because they're running at your speed or maybe a little bit more. If they're running a lot faster than you, maybe you want to get that position back right away, but if you know you can run at about their speed and they won't hold you up, then it's early in the race and you don't want to fight it too hard, and not until the pit stops come around where everyone's kind of settled into what their actual positions are do you really need to start going door to door with someone and real issue. Is John Kelly, unbelievable run through that corner. I thought he was going to spin out for sure, but he held it perfectly. Got a great run on Muniz there, and he's trying to take back 10th position. So they're coming down into Sunset here. We'll see if Kelly's got the line. I think he does. We'll see how he's able to enter in. Muna is very aggressive on the outside. He's able to hold his apex, and it looks like he has. That he might be able to hold on to the position here for the next lap or so. But this is a battle to watch right now. And like I say, differing lines as Mike Kelly in the Daytona. Oh, he's going to try to get a little bit of draft off the DP coming by. A little bit of advantage here, but just one of those things where you can take different lines, roughly the same speed, and if you're just a little bit faster, you're able to take advantage of that and maybe pick up a position. But this is quite the battle going on right now. We do have some Daytona prototypes coming up. It's a train between Timothy Stoll, Brian Carey, and Carlos Passos. So this is going to be a tough one with these guys battling hard for a position.
And we see Stoll and Carey going to take it to the outside. Stoll weaves to the inside as Kelly gets a little on the wrong side. And both of them get through before the hairpin, which is good. And Carey stays attached to the back end of Timothy Stoll as they head through the hairpin. Carlos Passos getting separated there, and he's going to fall back, gets stuck behind John Kelly as he gets by now.
Oh, and Carlos Passos coming in really hot right there. That was a little dangerous as he got her off in the grass. He's going to have to take another crack at those Cadillacs there because came in from way behind Muniz there to try to take that position and ended up putting both of them off the track a little bit.
Yeah, I think that was probably just, he saw that he lost touch with Stoll and Carey up there a little bit and a little bit too aggressive.
There it is again. He's put Muniz off the track, so Kelly is able to take 10th position from Muniz right now, and Muniz will probably have to take a short-cutting penalty as he came pretty much across the corner there, so he'll take at least another lap or two before he's able to get back on the back of the number 6 there. Alright, it says John Rizzuto's, but who are we actually with right now?
Well, it is a Cadillac, so that is definitely not John Rizzuto's. This is, who is this? Probably Ryan Huff, possibly?
There's nothing around him that we can see right now, so...
Yeah, it's really hard to get a reference.
Could be Lauren Bateman, because that's what he kept reverting to last time. I don't know if Lauren's still in the race, though. But if he is, this might be him.
John Rizzuto is currently right on the back of Matthew Voigt by about 0.4 of a second, which is why we were checking out that battle. And we go now on board with Eduardo Prado, who's right behind Todd Carver. This is a battle for the lead. See Todd Carver having a bit of a latency issue there, blinking out for just a second, and once again. But Todd Carver finding himself in the lead for the Cadillacs. That hasn't happened for him so far this season. He's definitely been up there and competitive, but hasn't quite had the pace to get up in front. And now with James Cullen having issues on the opening lap into turn 3.
Yeah, that's Lauren Bateman.
Okay, yeah, so that was who we were looking at before, but yeah, Todd Carver able to pull up and lead some laps in the Cadillac class with James Cullen pretty far back up in the field. He's about 17 seconds off the lead right now.
This is pretty good. See, the thing, he's able to draft up, but the Cadillacs don't seem to get the same draft as even the Daytona prototypes, which don't draft all that well. And it makes it very, very difficult to have a very close battle, I guess.
Oh, there's a huge mess of cars right there. You can see the top Daytona prototypes right there of Stoll and Carey fighting their way through the traffic, and that's Colin McLean looking to try and get around number, is that 27 of John Kuzlin. Wasn't able to quite do it as we divert back to the number 1 of Lauren Bateman as we try and watch John Rizzuto's.
All right, now this is a quick battle here at Matthew Voigt and John Rizzuto. So we got looking at Matthew Voigt now, and John Rizzuto's in the blue and white car on the outside, coming into Sunset.
And Voigt having to give the position up, and John Rizzuto's had the positioning on the outside. He was able to take the speed in through the opening corner, and Voigt's going to be right there, try and battle back from into turn 1, but I don't think he's going to quite have it. That was a good move put down by John Rizzuto's.
Another gaggle of cars here as James Cullen has made his way all the way up to 7th place, right behind James Mines right now. And Ricardo Machuca right behind him. So actually, from our point of view, very entertaining. James and Ricardo dropping all the way to the back here, and not very much damage on their cars, if any at all. Able to fight their way all the way back up to coming up to the top 5 right now. They're only a couple seconds away from Colin McLean in 5th place.
Ooh, and Brent Briles, getting very wide, and I thought he might have saved it, but he gets into the side, and he's going to spin himself along with John Kuzlin. Hopefully minimal damage there on Kuzlin's car. He did hit the side panel. That's one of the more resilient spots for the Cadillacs.
It'd be pretty dizzy.
Yeah, they did spin quite a few times. Hopefully that didn't damage Rizzuto's car at all. It looked like he was able to get going reasonably well. So unfortunate though, that is a very tough spot, and unless you're you can clearly tell that the Cadillac is going to give you the inside there. You don't want to try and make a move at that corner. Oh, and James Cullen making a very, very late braking move there on James Mines going into Sunset, and he's able to make the move stick. And yeah, definitely has exit speed too, so James Mines not going to be able to battle his way back down to turn 1. So I guess that's just like Brian said earlier. Even following him in the Daytona prototype, you can see that he brakes very, very late for in the Cadillac, and that's showing that right there.
Yeah, you notice it when you're in the Cadillac or in the Daytona prototype, because you don't want to come flying into the back of a Cadillac in a braking zone, so you normally leave a bit of a margin. It's like, whoops, I'm an idiot.
And Brian Carey, I guess you missed your braking point just a little bit there and got caught out. Luckily able to just dive off miss the corner and not run into the back of the other car and cause damage, but definitely lost some time there. Yeah,
it's what tends to happen in those situations, at least for me anyway. And we talk about this a lot of the times about what different rigs we have, where our colleague Dan here has a pretty darn good rig. You'll see it from his onboard shots. You go to Sim Racing Dan YouTube channel there, what he has. And then Anthony, I believe, has a pressure sensitive brake pedal, which is actually something that very serious sim racers such as myself should invest in, but I am running stock pedals which go by pedal position, and what happens sometimes is if you hit the pedal a little too hard and lock your brakes, you can't modulate the pedal enough to unlock them, and basically what happened there is once they're locked up, that's all you can really do is try to hold it straight. Hopefully you don't hit anything. Get the car slowed down enough that you can let the tires roll again and come back on track. So unfortunately it cost me some time, but it's something that unfortunately for me, I can't really, I'm okay 95% of the time. It's just that every so often it'll happen, and if you're in a close battle, it's those times that really hurt you.
Yeah, and from the experience I had driving the Daytona prototype last season, even though I do happen to have one of the load cell or pressure sensitive braking pedals, even if I were to lock the brakes, it is very hard to unlock the brakes on the Daytona prototype once you lock up without basically taking all of the braking input that you had out of the pedal. And I'm not sure if it's just the car or what, but I found that very difficult to manage if you did happen to lock up, and that's I think something that you can suffer with no matter what kind of pedals you are using, and it's just a characteristic of the car, I guess.
Yeah, it's just one thing is I've driven, like, I mean, obviously I've driven, you know, road cars, racing cars, go-karts, that sort of thing, and it's just a sensation that when it happens, I mean, the simulation is pretty good in most areas. I mean, we'll get to almost, you know, you can get right to what you'd feel in the real car as far as the inputs go, but it's just something you're not used to in real life. It's just something that wouldn't happen in real life. Normally you lock a brake, you're able to feel it pull out. I'm not sure, it's like almost like your brake pedal gets stuck once it locks up, and it kind of fuses itself to the disc for a time, and it has to kind of work its way free. Like, it's not something where you can like back off and let the tire roll again. It's just, it locks and it stays locked, and it's very, very strange, very, very hard to, especially in a very intense situation. It happens very quickly, and you really need to know or be able to do it by instinct, and instinct just kind of fails you there. And we're with John Rizzuto's, aka Lauren Bateman, and now back to James Cullen there battling now. He's in the battle for 4th position. That's Colin McLean just up ahead there. Ricardo Machuca right behind him, but it looks like these two guys have the speed on Colin, and looks like they'll be by him before long. Let's see if James can make the same move on him going into Sunset. James is one of the late breakers, but Colin's pretty late himself, so I don't think he'll be able to make the same move that he did before. Actually, I think one of the issues here is John needs to stop getting into really close battles, because here right now he's less than half a second behind Gilles Moret for 9th place right now. Very, very entertaining. I really wish we could see it. However, every time that happens, they cut to Lauren Bateman, who unfortunately is not in a very exciting position, whereas James Cullen is, as we see him right now.
And so Cullen not able to pull the same late braking maneuver on Colin McLean going into Sunset, not able to get by in turn 1, so he's going to be probably most likely stuck behind him until we get into the hairpin, I would assume.
And we're back with Anthony Muniz here. He's moving up a little bit. Actually, he's in 11th place right now. Not sure exactly how far he is behind John Kelly, but trying to chase him back down again.
And Colin's still behind Colin McLean into the as they get through the hairpin. So McLean able to put up a pretty good defense against James Cullen. We know Cullen is a very, very strong driver, traditionally up front. But thought about sticking it down the inside. Oh, and it makes contact with Colin McLean, and Ricardo Machuca is a big benefit, or gets the big benefit of both of that. He's able to sneak through the middle, and it looks like Colin McLean able to continue on faster than James Cullen is, but I think all those drivers were able to continue on.
Yeah, that was a big incident right there. Hopefully everyone got out of there okay. I think James might have been hurt a little bit. Now we've got Lauren Bateman, aka John Rizzutos, actually fighting with Anthony Muniz here. So this is actually a battle out on track, and we cut away from it.
Oh, that looks
Someone
like
just went off.
I think that was Brent Briles losing it in Sunset as Todd Carver, race leader, pulls in to make his 1 pit stop.
It is a 75-minute race, so 37.5 minutes will be your halfway point. So we are in the pit windows for the Cadillacs. Cadillacs have to see a little bit more variation where they start lighter and end up heavier. The Daytona prototypes typically do not stop anywhere before the halfway point, so still a little ways before their regular pit stops, but it looks like that's just a regular pit stop for Todd. And James going, I'm not sure where he's going. That's the other track there.
Yeah, he's going to take the old turn 17.
And he is coming into the pits. Trying not to crash. Oh, he's damaged.
Wow.
That's right, from that crash there. He's crowning pretty bad.
So unfortunately, James Cullen getting some damage, not going to be able to fight his way up to fight for that first place. He was making a great push through the field, worked his all the way back up to 5th, but a little bit too eager there on Colin McLean, and got him tried to get him on the inside, but didn't quite work out well for him.
It's John Rizzutos, again, Lauren Bateman, there in the number 1, is fighting with Anthony Muniz. It looks like he's got another car behind him, though I think this is for position here, so should be a pretty good battle.
And we'll jump back up to what's basically the front of the Daytona prototypes. This is the battle for a podium. Timothy Stoll, it looks like he's fairly slow through the Sunset corner there. Brian Carey having to go wide to avoid him. Losing a little bit of time there because he couldn't get the power down quite as well on the exit. But those guys are battling it out for 3rd place. We go on board with Brent Briles. He's trying to repair some of that damage we saw just a lap previously. Went wide and hit the tires on the outside of Sunset quite hard, so I'm assuming he has some fairly significant damage.
I'm going to stick with him for a few seconds here in the pits. See some of the other cars coming to the pits to get regular service. Actually, it looks like it's almost right in front of my pit crew there. The green guys there, 4th from the left.
On board with Jerry Knitter, and that was Timothy Stoll going by, and also Ryan Huff. I'm not sure if that... Oh yeah, that actually might be for position. I know that I caught Ryan Huff had gone into the pits a couple laps ago. It looks like Jerry Knitter has some fairly significant damage on the nose of that Cadillac.
As a nose hit, I'm not sure how much that's probably going to affect his top speed a little bit, but hopefully it stayed away from the suspension. He's able to drive the car somewhat decently. And we're actually following Lauren Bateman right now. There we go. He's coming out of 11th position right now into the pits. He is one and only stop. Some of these cars going by, so he's dropping a few positions right now, but it'll be a little while before we see if the Cadillac pit stops all shake out.
And we'll go on board now with Colin McLean, who had that incident with James Cullen a bit earlier. He has been able to recover. And we can see Ricardo Machuca, who was able to sneak through the middle of those two cars as they were trying to regain control. Not too far ahead of McLean, despite the incident with Cullen, just about a second or so in front. So that could turn into a battle here pretty soon. It seems that Cullen has some fairly good pace here around Sebring, and hopefully he'll be able to use that pace and catch back up with Machuca. Also, James Mines also having a pretty good race, running in P5 right now, and he's only about 2.5 seconds off of Colin McLean, who we're on board with right now. So that could turn into a three-way battle if Mines has the pace. We haven't seen a whole lot of James Mines this season, but it's always nice to have him back racing here in the GTC.
Alright, well, excuse me, Colin, still running pretty well. I mean, Ricardo got ahead on that pass there, or that incident with him and James, but after last race, Colin had some pretty good pace going through the race, but it also meant he also went pretty deep into the race. So we'll see if he makes an early pit stop or if he's able to run it down as far as he can to have a short last stop.
Take a look at Todd Carver. We know that he pitted fairly early in terms of the rest of the Cadillac's pit strategies. He's currently running in 9th place, trying to work his way past John Kelly, who I don't believe has made his pit stop yet. So right now he's a bit out of sync with the cars that are in front who have yet to pit.
Let's see, this is an important battle right here because Todd Carver needs to clear John Kelly right now to get that pace to get ahead of Eduardo. Excuse me, yes, to get ahead of Eduardo.
It looked like John Kelly was going to leave it open for him. A bit of a miscommunication because I don't think Carver expected it. And then he tried to dive in to the corner late. He ends up getting around and making no contact, but I think he did probably lose a little bit of time there because of the little bit of miscommunication between the two drivers.
As we're coming up to, the halfway point. Hold on just a second here. I turned on some music by accident. But as we're coming up to the halfway point, we get pit stop windows coming up. Russell Cow's leading in the Daytona prototypes. Mike Kelly in the other Daytona prototype in 2nd place. Timothy Stahl in 3rd. Carlos Passes in 4th, and Brian Carey in 5th. Eduardo Prado, Joe Jr., Ricardo Machuca. Colin McLean, Ricardo Machuca, as Ricardo jumps into the pits there, and James Mines. So I guess we'll wait till the pit stops shake out, but we are in the window for Daytona prototype and actually all pit stops.
And Russell Cow decides to stay out another lap and continue to lead the Daytona prototype class. As we ride on board now with John Kelly, as he is currently running in 8th place, gets by Ricardo Machuca, who is currently in the pits. We will most likely have to give that position back once Kelly decides to make his scheduled pit stop.
Alright, so Ricardo Machuca out of the pits right now, 57.92 seconds in pit lane, so I like to say it's a good pit stop. I honestly don't know how long pit stops typically take here, but eventually we should probably figure that out to see who's having good pit stops and who's not.
Well, after a flurry of action in the opening stages of this race, the battles have quieted down quite significantly. This is actually the closest battle on the circuit right now, and it's not even a battle for true position, I guess you would say, as Mike Kelly still has to make his pit stop, as it looks like Jerry Morsdorf is going to be pulling into the pits. Yes, he is indeed going to be pulling in to make his one scheduled pit stop for this race.
Sorry, as I'm doing my commentary here, I had trying to back up some of my music files onto my laptop, and as I did that, for some reason, as soon as it finished, it started playing Adele. So, random perhaps, but well, if that's if you heard me, I don't know if the mic here in my booth picks that up or not, but if it did, that's what it was playing. So, as you see, Mike Kelly there taking a lap on John Kelly in the opposite class.
And John Kelly and Mike Kelly, both of the Kellys, are going to be pulling into the pit stop to make their scheduled stops for service.
Alright, so pay attention there. Like I said, it was gonna check the stops there. It looked like Mike was in second place going into the pit stop, so after the pit stop shakeout, let's see where he is. There's Lance Snyder.
Yep, we did catch a glimpse of Timothy Stoll going by while Mike Kelly was just hitting his pit box, so it'll be interesting to see where they come out once Timothy Stoll rather decides to make his pit stop, as Mike Kelly now exiting the pits along with John Kelly. A little bit slower stop for the Cadillacs.
Yep, so John Kelly coming out outside the top 10 in 11th position right now. Ryan Huff just ahead of him, and wow, Jerry Knitter with a awkward pit stop to say the least. Backing him back in here, but scraping the wall.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think he even made a bit of contact there with the pit wall. Unfortunately, had to back it up because he overshot. I'm assuming he'll probably have some optional damage that he could choose to repair if he wants because of that nose. It'll be interesting to see if he decides to take that or not. And it looks like
in the pits.
Yep, indeed he is. He'll make his one scheduled pit stop for the race.
Eduardo Prado in the pits too, so look for him and Todd Carver. Todd Carver is in 7th place right now. Eduardo Prado, there he is, and you can see on the screen there, look for the blue, white, and red car of Todd Carver. See if he's on the screen here. Prado coming slowly out of the pits. I don't see Carver yet. I don't see him yet, so it looks like Prado might. Carver's, look at all this screen here as he comes into the corner. Is that him right there?
Was that, or was that Ryan Huff?
Nope, there he is. That's Todd Carver.
So.
Wow. Prado takes the lead in the pit, well, the effective lead in the pit lane. Some guys like Joe, Colin, John, and Kenny Coughlin have not pitted yet, so.
Well, that was a very close battle there on the pit exit. Todd Carver just not quite close enough to maintain what will be effectively first spot once pit stops cycle through. Currently has about a 0.7 second gap between himself and Eduardo Prado.
This is quite the things are starting to shake up now. We'll wait a few more laps to let the Daytona prototypes get through the pit stops, but I think they can get pretty deep into this race. I think it'll probably be about 25 minutes left when the final pit stops are made if you go on a full tank. Some of the thing with iRacing is, at least in this car, you fill a tank by gallons, and since each lap, I mean, you could probably do, 2 laps to a gallon at least. Not sure exactly what it is here. That I mean, the pit stops could be, and depending on the fuel mileage, you get 2 pit stops between gallons. I mean, you'll see a flurry of pit stops for, like, say, people who had 12 gallons in, then a couple laps later those for 13, and those couple laps later those put a full 14 in. So, see him come in waves here as Lance Snyder in the Iron Maiden number 75 comes into the pits.
We go on board now with Todd Carver. You can see what is effectively the race leader there, just in front, Eduardo Prado. And there's still a bit of time separating those two cars. We right on board now with Brian Carey, currently running in 4th place, looking to chase down Carlos Passos. Well, he actually is passing him because he's in the pits. But Carey yet to make his pit stop. Moves temporarily up into P3 in the class. We've got a pretty good battle here between John Kelly and Ryan Huff. Both of these guys have made their scheduled pit stop, so this is a battle. The battle between them, I guess, is a real battle, however you want to say it. They're currently running in 9th and 10th, which is probably about what they will shake out to. There's a few guys in front that haven't made pit stops, like Joe Jr., Colin McLean, John Kuzlin, but they're running a fair distance in front of them.
Alright, so got about 30 minutes left in this race, just under 30 minutes left. Pit stop still coming. Battle still going on, but until all the pit stops are done, it's really hard to see exactly what the battles are. So just enjoy the... Oh, geez, Ryan Huff. Wow, that was... wow, I can't believe no one touched each other on that. He didn't touch anything. I know one of the other cars went off the track there. Yep, looks like he got going, but that was a little bit of rear brake locking going to that corner there and pitched him sideways in a hurry. I don't think he was expecting that. Nothing he could really do about it other than what he did, which was pretty good to save the car.
Yeah, I think John Kelly was a big winner there. He got sideways and started going towards the outside barrier there, which if you get on the grass could be hard to stop yourself from crashing into it, but he managed to save it and gain a position because of it, so he's definitely the big beneficiary from that incident there. And I also managed to put a fairly sizable gap up between himself and John Kelly, or Ryan Huff.
There's Russell Cow in 3rd place. He's the de facto leader, as he has made his pit stop already, and those who ahead of him have not. So it looks like everyone who he was battling with, he is still ahead of.
And Timothy Stoll being shown in the pits. We can see him right there, but Mike Kelly already passed him and has a fairly good distance between himself and Timothy Stoll, according to our current timing and scoring. So not really a battle like we thought it might be between Mike Kelly and Timothy Stoll for 3rd place in Daytona Prototypes.
Matthew Voigt in the car on fire, the nuclear physicist of our group here. Yeah, like I said, when you're watching this onboard of the Daytona Prototype, the way this camera is on this on our broadcast here, it is zoomed in a little bit, so you really don't get a good sense of like what it looks like when you're driving the car. Actually, it looks a little almost slow because you're up ahead in the cockpit a little bit and not getting the full view that you normally would.
And Joe Jr. now down in 4th place, so that means that he has made his scheduled pit stop. So this is the actual position that he is fighting for. So we go outboard now. We can see the actual battle. It's between himself and Ricardo Machuca. Those guys very close at the moment. A little bit far, well, actually quite a bit farther up the field is Todd Carver and Eduardo Prado. Those guys still battling. Now distance between them has opened up to about 1.5 seconds at the moment.
They have both made their pit stops, so those are actual battles right there. As
Brian Carey decides to pull into the pit stops after I believe he was able to... Oh, I was going to say I think he was actually able to lead a lap, but not quite, as Russell Kyle manages to cross the finish line before Brian Carey does in the pit stop. So Brian Carey not able to get another lap led on his stat sheet, unfortunately. But here comes Timothy Stoll, who is one of the guys that Brian Carey was racing, getting held up by some Cadillacs right now. I think that Stoll will be by Brian Carey as we jump on board right now. I'm assuming we'll see Stoll go by, although Carey will kind of pull out. So, yep, there he goes right now, but it's distance is not too far. There goes Carlos Passos, who he was fighting with before all the pit stops started, so not a whole lot of distance between them. We'll see what Brian Carey can do with some new tires on the car. As
Like I said, this is the last lap you can really do pit stops here. About 26 minutes left, I guess.
And Matthew Voigt really pushing his fuel to the end as well, pitting at the last possible moment. He pits from 6th place, but falls to 7th currently.
There's Joe Jr. and Carlos Passos, kind of pseudo teammates there, running the same sponsor on the side, and they're probably part of the same group in this. There, the car is painted slightly differently, but with the target on the side of both of them. So hopefully that's not used by myself there to run them off the road.
Brian Carey able to negotiate his way past Joe Jr. He'll try and hopefully get by Ricardo Machuca before the end, gets in the slip line, and yeah, he'll have the pass before they get down to turn 17. Carey trying to work his way back up to Carlos Passos, currently about close to 2 seconds behind right now, but there's still a good 24 minutes left in the race for him to do that. And we saw earlier in the race that Carey's pace was quite strong, so I expect that to turn into a battle for 4th place with within the probably next 10 minutes or so. As we ride on board now with Joe Jr. as he negotiates his way through turn 1. Seems to have really closed the gap between himself and Ricardo Machuca, and you can see they're pretty much nose to tail right now heading into turn 3. And a bit of tire smoke. Oh, and that's Carey off. Did you make contact with the wall there, Brian?
No, I think I was clean after that, so... But it was, I'd had actually a spin in between that before my first pit stop, and then that one there, plus the time you saw me go off the track. So, a bit of a sloppy race for me at that point, but I think there's more to come, unfortunately, from there.
And unfortunately, Carey's dropped down to, or extended the distance between himself and Carlos Passos because of that incident to about 10 seconds. So, well, I guess my previous prediction, commentator's courage, the previous prediction I made of him catching up and fighting with Passos in about the next 10 minutes or so proves to be false, although you never know what happens. Passos could make his own mistake and allow Brian Carey to catch back up and have that turn into a fight for 4th place. But right now we've got a pretty good scrap going on between Joe Jr. and Ricardo Machuca, and we haven't seen a whole lot of Joe Jr. this season, but he's been quite competitive the couple times that we have seen him racing, and this is a pretty strong performance by him right now as Brian Carey is making his way back past these guys after they repassed after his spin.
I was saying, qualifying times at the beginning, seeing how fast Russell Cow was going at the beginning, it just was very discouraging, but some setup changes made just before the race improved the handling drastically. However, issues with the little gears between the ears and my right foot weren't helping me out. It's one of those battles, we've seen this a lot in the Cadillacs. You get them nose to tail like this, and the battles aren't very well. As I say that, Ricardo unfortunately spins off. That is, I was going to say the battles aren't very dynamic as Ricardo goes backwards off the track. I don't think he spun fast enough to get into the wall, so hopefully he'll continue on. But that's unfortunate for him as Joe is up to 3rd place. And we're on board with Todd Carver, and you can see Eduardo Prado just up the road there in the yellow and black car. So hopefully this battle will develop into something here, as he's kept the gap around a second and a half to a second, give or take, and if we get just a little bit closer into just some traffic, he might be able to make some hay out of this.
Go on board now with Jules Moret. He's currently running in 9th place. We'll jump away from him now, back to Todd Carver, since that is the battle for first place in the Cadillacs. He's got Carlos Passos just behind him. And Todd Carver able to get the gap down just a little bit. Before, when we were reported, it was about 1.5 seconds, although he loses a bit of time there because Carlos Passos goes through in the Le Mans corner. But before Carlos Passos had gone by, the gap had closed to just over a second. So looks like Todd Carver does seem to have a bit of pace, and hopefully he'll be able to catch up and give us a battle for first place in class. That'd be quite fun to watch. Now we go back on board with Joseph Murat. He's currently running in 9th place. We can see just in front of him Matthew Voigt, and that is about close to 2 seconds separating these cars right now. But not a whole lot of guys have been kind of spread out as the race progresses on. Only about 20 minutes left in the race total, and not a whole lot of battling going on right now. A lot of guys trying to see if they can't chase down guys that are around 5 or 6 seconds in front of them. So it'll be interesting to see who has the pace to be able to make up the gaps between themselves. You can see that just behind the two Cadillacs, that could be turning into a battle here fairly shortly. That's John Kelly currently running in 9th place with Ryan Huff in 10th. That's about 2.5 seconds between those two cars, so that could turn into a battle here. But right now we're focusing on Matthew Voigt and Jules Murat. The gap, just about 1.2 seconds, so Murat able to close the gap between himself and Matthew Voigt just a little bit.
Right now I'm just checking the timing sheets here to see if there's any other really close battles on the track, and aside from this here, it's the battle for the lead between Todd Carver and Eduardo Prado, still between that, right around that 1.5 second rate, kind of bumping up to 2 seconds now, but in that region. Getting kind of late in our commentary here, so we're at about 18 minutes left. Fatigue starting to set in for the drivers as well as us up here in the booth, so if we do go more quiet now, it's probably what's happening. As we're doing this, we haven't had a chance yet as we're going on board with Todd Carver. He's behind Lance Snyder here, so that's between him and Eduardo. But another shout out to the Z1 Simwheel.com, our primary sponsor here of the ISRA GTC series. So if you'd like to visit Z1Simwheel.com, I'd recommend it. Very good products there, and like Dan had mentioned at the beginning of our last couple of broadcasts, they now have the capability to download the software independently on your computer, so you can run it on your own display as opposed to the LCD displays that are also sold through the Z1 Simwheel site. So check that out, as well as checking out our colleague Sim Racing Dan on YouTube, as well as his Twitch TV account, and watch the races live. Next one being, well, if you get this in time, probably not, but October 15th is Laguna Seca. But just check out Sim Racing Dan on YouTube, and where this video is, and all the rest of them there.
Oh, and somebody's off. Is that looks like Ricardo Machuca, and this is James Mize now. He's currently running in 6th place, but he's going to try and power his way back down as they head towards the hairpin. Going to be on the outside though, so it's going to be difficult for James Mize to get around here, and I think Ricardo Machuca will be able to hold him off. But this is going to turn into a battle now that James Mize is right behind him. Let's see if he has the pace to keep up and get around.
Yeah, James trying to get the undercut going on there on Ricardo, but Ricardo holding a very tight line, get a good exit. James missing his entry just a little bit there, enough to get a run, but let's see how this battle develops to see if he's actually got the pace on Ricardo to make a move. I don't know if Ricardo is damaged from his last incident, but it's entirely possible, and looks like Brent is all over, or excuse Brent, James is all over him right now. Looks like Brent is approaching from behind there. Yeah, it looks like he's got it done. Yeah, it looks like Ricardo has some issues there, so he runs wide. John Rizzuto's there in the Phantom 01 car going by.
Yeah, I think you're right, Brian. I don't think his car is running quite 100% right now, and that just might have been the reason why he had his off earlier in the lap and made it a little fairly easy for James Mines to be able to get by, and that gives James Mines a top 5 spot. So well done to James Mines. As we watch Gilles Murat, he's right on the back of Matthew Voigt. These guys are battling for 8th spot in their class, and Gilles Murat rather able to close the gap between himself and Voigt. So this has turned into a battle here with 15 minutes left to go in the race.
So just to point out, I just noticed that sooner remembering our race, I have somehow managed to get the gap down to Carlos Passos, down to under 4 seconds after being down almost 11 seconds after my last spin. So,
well, and it's since I mentioned my 10-minute prediction, it's been about 10 minutes now, and so maybe not exactly up there fighting for the spot between yourself and Passos, but it's I guess fairly close. Oh, and there's Ricardo Machuca in the pit. So I guess you were right, Brian, when you said you don't think that car was quite 100%. And he decided to pull in and I'm assuming get some sort of repairs before trying to help his car run a little bit better at the final stages of the race.
Yeah, this is going to be quite the battle. It's Gilles is holding on to him really well here, and Matthew Voigt's giving it everything he has. So got 14 minutes left, just over 14 minutes, and we'll see how this one shakes out. This is for 8th position. Due to how competitive both series are, battling for each position here, as long as you have running cars here, is very critical as the season progresses, because being able to put together solid finishes at any level, very, very important for your championship hopes. As we see Ian Boyd coming in, currently in 15th. Haven't seen a lot of Ian here. He's one of our newcomers in the GTC series, but number 55 coming into the pits, which will be obviously, actually I don't know if that's on schedule or not. It's a little late for a common one. He's missed his pit stop by just a little bit, but hopefully the rest of it goes smoothly and he's able to continue on.
And not really a whole lot of traffic in front of these two guys, so they're going to have Gilles Murat is going to have to make the pass based purely on pace. I think there's one Cadillac up there. I couldn't catch who that was, but other than that, looks like they have a clear track in front of them. So this is going to have to be a pass based purely on the driver's speed. And Gilles Murat on the very back of Matthew Voigt as they head into the hairpin. He gets held up a bit by the Cadillac of James Mines, and Gilles Murat looks like he has some speed, but there's nowhere for him to really go to try and put a move on Matthew Voigt. And it looks like that's John, no, that's not, I'm looking at the wrong name. That is John Rasuto's up there, and that is actually a battle for position. This has become a three-way battle between the Daytona prototypes.
John Rasuto's rear wing damage, so I don't know if that's what brought him back into these guys, but he is a lot slower, and they've come right up to him. So
yeah, I have no idea if that is related, if he had a off in this lap and that's caused him to fall back. But let's see if Matthew Voigt can get around, and if John Rasutos is really that much slower than these other two drivers. Matthew Voigt gets a good run through the Le Mans corner as they head down towards the Sunset corner. Gets alongside. I think he'll definitely have the pass before they get to the braking points, or he'll have it under braking rather. And we'll turn away as we run to look at John Rasuto's. Looks like...
But that means that it happened as... Yep, there it is. The scoring just updated. And in fact, Gilles gets by too.
And also, Dan is not dead, as he has been in the commentary booth. I don't think we've heard from him since the opening sequence there, so Dan is still around. We do check for a pulse every once in a while, but he's all right. Yeah, they're both by.
There's the visual update right there. You can see Matthew Voigt and Jules Murat both around John Rizzuto. So yeah, I guess that damage might be playing a part. Seemed like fairly easy for both of them. I guess it could be that because Matthew Voigt was on the inside, it forced Rizzuto's a little wide going through Sunset, and that allowed Jules Murat to sneak through. We'll see if John Rizzuto's can stick with those two guys. Right now, they're pretty much nose to tail at the moment.
And just looking at my timing and scoring, the battle for the lead in the Cadillacs is under a second right now as we play. Look at
Here
it.
It is.
You can see it right there. So they're coming towards the end of the lap, coming in towards Le Mans here, these last few corners. Apologize, I don't know all the names of the Sebring track offhand, but I know where on the track it is, if that's helpful, but verbalizing it, I guess, or not able to verbalize it makes it a little difficult. But yeah, no, looks like Todd's got into that area where, actually no, we're with Ryan Huff right now, and that's John Kelly up ahead. Ryan Huff's car looks a little like Todd Carver's, and John Kelly's car looks a little like Eduardo Prado's, so a little confusing for me for a second. Gilles Moret is all over the back of Matthew Voigt. Let's see if he can use this traffic of Jerry Knitter to get a run, and it looks like he's got a good run here. I don't know if it's enough to get alongside, but he is pushing and pushing hard right now.
And also, John Rizzuto's is quite a ways back, so he definitely doesn't have the pace to keep up. And Matthew Voigt pulling on to the inside. He should have stayed there on the inside line to not give Gilles Moret that chance. And looks like he's going to drive by on the inside through Sunset. Let's see if Matthew Voigt can get power down better on the exit. Probably gets held up by that Cadillac a little bit. He's going to try and draft his way back as they head to turn one. He might have just enough to stick his nose up there on the inside to see if he can do it under braking. And Gilles Moret gives him room, and Voigt doesn't quite have it. So probably a little bit of a mistake there by Matthew Voigt, giving Gilles Moret that inside line, allowed him to get under. And once he was there, he stuck the car under for Sunset and made the pass. Great pass there by Gilles Moret.
Awesome driving by both drivers there. Gilles in the initial pass there, but Matthew and Gilles going through turn one. Side by side, Gilles giving him just enough room to get around safely, and they are still battling hard going to that final hairpin.
Yeah, clearly Matthew was hoping that by taking the normal line through that corner, he'd have more exit speed. But as you noted, Gilles was able to stick it in there. Matthew Voigt not quite pushing it probably quite as hard as he needed to under braking in order to make that happen.
Yeah, he definitely, they're very similar in pace, and there's Cadillacs up here that are going to be holding them up. But when someone's off by quite a bit and into the tires, it's Timothy Stoll, who is in third place. And he backs it right up back onto the track. Probably not the best thing to do. And looks like Brian Carey and Carlos Passos are going to go by. It looks like Tim Stoll is going to have some damage to see his car swerving all over the circuit. So that's unfortunate for Timothy Stoll late in the race, going out because of sliding. He slid off the track, and that moves Carlos Passos up to third place. And Brian Carey, who is now 0.76 of a second off after his fairly large spin, which is I find quite impressive, because he's come back from about 11 seconds back in probably 15 minutes or so. So that is a good bet, good driving by Ryan Carey as we go and watch them right now. And Carlos Passos is getting a little too much curve there, not using all the circuit. And let's see. Although Brian Carey not able to really take advantage of that, not get right back up, but it definitely seems like Brian Carey has the pace, and I think Carlos Passos has been pretty much by himself the entire second stint. So this with another car here challenging for a third spot, it might put a little bit of a pressure on him to make a little mistake and allow Brian Carey to get past.
Yeah, our pit reporters are telling us that Carlos did not take tires on the last stop, so that probably explains a lot of the speed difference here.
Okay, another tire strategy coming into play. We saw it last race, I believe, with John Rizzuto's. Didn't quite work out quite so well for him as he lost touch with Daniel Quironi, and Quironi was able to, fairly easily take the or come away with the position over him, but he was able to hold on the final minutes onto, I believe it was 7th place, so we'll see how that works out for him, as Matthew Voigt still all over the back of Gilles Moret. These guys are fighting for 5th place now with the retirement of Timothy Stoll. As we go back and watch the battle between Carlos Passos and Brian Carey as they head down towards the hairpin. Brian really able to close up good amount of distance between himself and Carlos Passos under braking. Looks like they're about the same amount of same distance apart as these two drivers are, Jules Moret and Matthew Voigt, as they head down towards Sunset. Matthew Voigt might be close. Let's see if he tries to stick it on the inside. Nope, not quite close enough. See, actually the overall race leader, Russell Kyle, there going quite wide through Sunset. Luckily able to save it and not drive it into the tire barrier, like I believe it was Brent Briles did earlier in the race.
Yeah, we got this battle is really tight. You've got one of the Can-Am Cracker cars just up ahead. I think that is Stephen Clark. And he's the only one running in that color car this season, so that's going to cause a little bit of a pick here. Drivers forced around the outside. Gilles taking the outside, Matthew taking the outside. Matthew's not going to have the run on him going here, but he might be able to force Gilles into a little mistake and take the advantage off the hairpin here. Really going to let the car roll through that hairpin to get on the gas as soon as possible. If you try to turn in a little bit too hard, the front end will wash out. So.
And the distance is, basically the same between these two cars as well. Brian Carey and Carlos Passos. These guys have been pretty close the last couple laps. Brian Carey looking to see if he can't find a way on the inside of Carlos Passos there. Carlos Passos thought about maybe having to defend on the inside. Looks like Brian Carey might be faster. He's right under that rear wing and not able to do anything about it. There's a Cadillac up here. I'm not sure if that's which one that is, if that is the race leader Eduardo Prado or Kenny Coughlin. Those guys' cars are very, very similar.
Alright, now back to the battle for fifth. We got Gilles Moret still holding off Matthew Voigt, and it doesn't seem like this is going to change at all. Matthew's got a good run here, but I don't think it's enough to get cleanly alongside, but we thought last time with Gilles, he was able to make the pass, so Matthew taking the inside, thinking better of it. Going in the inside line there is sometimes very difficult because you hit different bumps. Your line entry through there changes quite a bit. You can theoretically get through just as fast, but you really have to know what you're doing, and if you're used to taking the other line, sometimes that could be a very risky move.
And it's still close here between Carlos Passos and Brian Carey as we're actually winding down to the final moments of this race. Probably only going to be seeing 2 or 3 more laps depending on where Russell Cow is and when he crosses the start-finish line. But again, still very close between these two drivers as well. And Matthew Voigt right under the rear wing of Jules Moret. Jules Moret deciding that he should defend on the inside for the hairpin. Matthew Voigt getting along the outside just because of the different braking spots. See if he can't get a better exit. No, oh, he's might get alongside. Let's see.
And as you see the 79 up in the corner there, I have done something stupid.
Yes, unfortunately, Brian Carey had a spin in Sunset, and that put him into the tires, which broke the suspension, unfortunately, and that's going to cost him probably down to, what, 8th place, because, yeah, Timothy Stoll has already retired. So that's going to, unfortunately, end the battle between himself and Carlos Passos, which was quite good up until this point.
Yeah, what had happened was going through Sunset, got a little bit of oversteer, tried to correct the oversteer, and the front tires caught and pointed straight into the wall. So luckily this wasn't real life because that one would have hurt. With that being said, we have Matthew Voigt right under the rear wing. He's got 2... Oh, it's the class leaders. That's Todd Carver and Eduardo Prado also battling for the lead.
And see, Matthew Voigt can't go on the inside. Oh, Todd Carver thought about trying to follow Matthew Voigt through on the inside. Couldn't quite get it done. Matthew Voigt, Todd Carver rather, right on the inside of Eduardo Prado. Almost made contact there. And everyone gets through unscathed and in the same positions.
He had a really good shot there. I mean, it was going to be difficult. And Russell is just behind them in the lead. Just took the white flag. So these guys will have this lap and then one more, I believe. So unless Russell's able to get by them before the end of the lap. So if I was Todd Carver, I'd be trying to make my move right now, and it looks like he's setting them up pretty good. They're both pretty... Oh, he's going to the inside. I'm not sure if that was the best place to try that, but he's lost a little bit of ground going down the straightaway here, so we'll see how it goes through the hairpin.
Yeah, probably not the ideal move because he wasn't able to really get... He lost a bit of time now. He's not going to be able to challenge going down into the hairpin. I'm assuming anyway. He's about half a second back right now. So Matthew Voigt really trying to find a way around Jules Murat. He's very close, and it looks like there's a few places that he is faster, but he just can't get it done. And he's tried a few times going down towards turn 17, not quite fast enough in a straight line to make it happen.
Wait,
so in contact with...
Where did Russell Cow come from? And Mike Kelly, they're both... Wow, that's unbelievable.
And that was, he hit the second place car of Todd Carver. He's falling back behind Eduardo Prado now. Luckily, it looks like that damage between with him was minimal, but that took out first and second place with in the Daytona prototypes, and almost took out second place for the Cadillacs. That was wow, that was a crazy incident.
Well, where did Mike Kelly come from? Because last I checked, I hadn't checked in the last lap, but Russell Cow had an 11-second lead over Mike Kelly, so something must have happened to Russell to allow them to close up like that. And obviously when they got into that corner, the braking distances that Russell was able to do and Mike was able to do was vastly different, and Mike got into the back of them. So, again, wish we had replay.
And Mike Kelly now currently leading the race, and he's about 30 seconds ahead of Russell Cow. As you can see right here, Russell Cow, serious damage on the rear suspension of his car. Carlos Passos goes by to take second place, and wow, that is a crazy turn of events at the end of this race. And it looks like Mike Kelly will probably, yeah, there he is, crosses the line and takes the win. Not at that, we definitely weren't expecting that.
Yeah, like I said, we'll have to check that. I honestly don't remember what happened there. I assume that Russell had some damage going through there, because otherwise Mike should not have been anywhere near him going to that last lap. But we still have an intense battle for first place in the Daytona, or in the Cadillacs. Eduardo Prado and Todd Carver up ahead, having a complete lap to finish here. So, or wait, or are they finished now?
I think they've already finished. According to the little graphic on the side, they've already finished.
Right. Okay. Anyways, so I'm starting to get some flashbacks of the bad memories I've had of basically throwing away a potential second place or even a potential first place. But yeah. So anyways, yeah, it looks like they'd finished. I thought that they were ahead of Mike Kelly as they came across the line there, so I thought they had one more lap, but timing and scoring is saying no, so it looks like Eduardo Prado has the win. In Daytona Prototype, Mike Kelly takes the win. Unbelievable finish there, as these guys have not finished. That is for sure. This is a battle for fourth position, and Matthew Voigt has one last chance, and he is going to try everything he can. As there's Ryan Huff crossing the finish line in 8th. That's good for him, I guess. And all Russell Cow. What do you need to do? Still on the podium, but still, wow, that is unbelievable. So Gilles Moret and Matthew Voigt, love to see him. Come on, director, give us the battle, because oh, here we are. Oh, side by side. Does he have it? No, he doesn't have enough. Gilles Moret takes it, but that was a grandstand finish. Dan, take us away with the standings.
All right, well, Russell Cow is going to maintain his lead, as this, I believe, then got elevated to his drop week, since he still got a bunch of points here. Mike Kelly, 4 points down, so, you know, second place, very, very close. And then in the Cadillacs, once again, we've got a close battle, but Colin McLean elevating himself up to first. I think that is just through a drop week math. Yep, that's got to be. But Todd Carver just 5 points down, and third and fourth very close to each other, Mark Payne and James Cullen there. So, well, it was an interesting race. Some upsets, you'd say.
Yep, I would very much like to stab myself in the eye after watching that again.
Yeah, we had a pretty intense opening stage of this race, a lot of action going on, a few incidents, and then everyone kind of settled down for the majority of the middle portion, and then the last probably 10 minutes or so, a lot of action was going on. We had some great battles in both classes, and we'll take a look at the remaining schedule and move on to VIR Raceway next. That's going to be a tough race, very close, very tight track, very windy and twisty, and that'll be very interesting. Then next it will be Watkins Glen, the other endurance race that we have. Then Homestead Road over back in Florida, finishing off with Circuit Zolder the first time we go there, and then last race at Laguna Seca.
Now check out the standings here on the left, or the finishing standings. Notice, I think it's like an exact reflection of Mosport, where we had more Daytona prototypes finishing in Mosport, and I think less than Cadillacs even, but check that out. Almost, actually twice as many, exactly, Cadillacs finishing as DPs. I don't know what the entry numbers were. Obviously we have bigger fields in the Cadillacs on purpose, but wow, that's quite a difference.
Yeah, I think it was just the nature of the track too. The Daytona prototypes here, there's a lot of incidents, kind of offs here, but the Cadillacs, this track suits them a lot more than Mosport does, so able to stay on the track. But you watch Matthew Voigt come into the pits here. Excellent race for him. I was very entertained by that. That was kept the race interesting there. After, like Anthony said, the middle thing's going to settle down, but Gilles and Matthew kept it interesting and right to the end there. So good race overall from the fans' perspective. And like I said, personally, I'd like to see the back of this one.
Oh, so would I. Well, thank you as always to our sponsor Z1 Simwheel, to the racers and the admins here at ISRA League who make these races possible, to Brian Carey and Anthony Muniz for this outstanding announcing job they're doing. And I'll let you guys sign off, and then I'll say goodnight.
Well, good night, guys.
Yes, thank you for watching. It was an exciting race, and we look forward to the next one.
All right, thanks you to everyone out there, and remember to subscribe and you get updates whenever I post a new race. And we'll see you next time. Good night.